Welcome back for another Baldur's Gate 3 news discussion video. I know I just recently posted one of these, but we just got a part 2 to the rock paper shotgun interview with the lead system designer at Larian Studios, Nick Pachinian. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Either way, he's an awesome guy and we have a ton of new information to cover. Link to that interview will be below. In this video, we'll talk about max level. Is it still level 10? We'll talk about player resting, reactions, death, and more. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please subscribe for much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. I've already done over 50 Baldur's Gate 3 videos up to this point, ranging from class guides to lore videos to mechanic videos and more, so head into the channel and check those out if you're interested. Links to my Twitter and my Discord server will be below. Let's talk the news. This is my second video recording for the day, so my voice is kind of on the way out, so bear with me a little bit. Let's start off by talking about the lower levels of play in Baldur's Gate 3. Nick stated that in lower levels of play, the player will have a bit less room for error, so it will be challenging. You might be put into some situations that appear to be unfair, and be forced to learn and figure out other mechanics that you can use in the game besides direct combat. You will be challenged to learn how to gain advantage in combat situations, such as gaining high ground or knocking enemies prone, but the game will make these possibilities a little bit more obvious in the lower levels of play. This will kind of serve as a tutorial in a way to get you picking up on everything that the game offers to you to help you succeed in challenging situations. Advantage, for those who might not know, allows you to roll 2d20s when conducting an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check, and you'll be given the higher of the two rolls. In this case, you'll be looking for advantage on your attack rolls to give your party members a much higher chance of successfully landing their strikes. Nick also stated that leveling from levels 1 to 2 is going to be fairly fast, for at level 1 you're super squishy, especially when you're playing as one of the lower based HP classes, so 1 to 2 will be fairly quick, but the rest of the game will likely be milestones. Now let's once again talk about max level in Baldur's Gate 3. I know that I just recently posted a video specifically on this, and I heard all of your guys' opinions. Some of you guys even yelled at me. But Nick has now stated that it's not 100% set in stone that max level will be 10. In the Q&A, Larian did state that they were not planning on going above level 10, but some things have definitely changed since then. For those of you who didn't like 10 being the max level, I wouldn't get too excited though, thinking that you're going to get level 20 or anything like that on the game's launch, but it is possible that the game could go a little higher than level 10. Nick said that it's all dependent on how much quality content that they are able to create, but like I said, I'm still assuming that it will be around level 10, for we wouldn't have gotten that news before if it wasn't somewhat true. There's so much content creation involved from one level to another, and it's highly unlikely that Larian will just make a decision to increase it to, say, 15 right out of the blue, for that could honestly add another year plus to the game's development. Nick brought up spells such as Wish, and how difficult it would be to allow players to gain high-level spells like that in the game's current plot and setting, and that makes complete sense. If the plot is focused around mind flayers and in the city of Baldur's Gate, the power that your player gains should match up with the story, and if they do eventually allow us to get to level 15 or maybe even 20, that could be saved for a DLC that takes the plot and setting to a whole new level, and that's exciting to think about as well. Each level in Baldur's Gate 3 will be spaced out with a ton of content relating to that level, except maybe levels 1 and 2 like I said before, and gaining a new level will be a lot more meaningful than, say, compared to Divinity Original Sin 2. I have confidence in Larian to give us plenty of meaningful content. Next up is getting drunk. Skull. Yes, you can get drunk in this game and it will affect your character by boosting certain abilities while hurting others. It will most likely do this in the form of giving you advantage or disadvantage on relating abilities. Currently in the game, if you get too drunk, you will also fall asleep. Skull. Alright, now let's talk about death in Baldur's Gate 3. Although it's still a work in progress, death is going to be painful and something you want to take seriously. Nick stated that if you do die, you will definitely have to go back to the corpse of your lost party member and interact with that corpse in some way or another. You guys are sick. The cost for bringing back a party member is still being discussed, but from what we have heard, it sounds like there will be resurrection scrolls in the game. However, it's likely that they will not be cheap or easy to obtain. Nick also said something really interesting, and I'm going to quote him for this. So begin quote. Not to go into details of the plot, but you will have a special relationship with death and bringing your party members back to life. End quote. What the hell does that mean? Any speculations from you guys? Well, the one thing that we do know is that if you get dropped to 0 HP, you will enter a down state instead of outright dying, and you will conduct death saving throws. If you succeed on your death saving throws, or if a party wins the entire combat encounter before the death saving throws have finished, you will stand up with 1 HP. So the lethality of combat is brought down a bit by the death saving throw mechanics, which I'll do a video on that maybe next week. But if you actually fail your death saving throws, it sounds fairly serious. I like when death is a big deal in games, for it makes the actions that you take and the decisions that you contemplate have much more weight to them. Now let's talk about resting in the game, for we did get some new information. If you're able to take a long rest, you will go to your player's camp and sleep away. This will not only completely refresh your character in terms of HP and spell slots, but you will also have the opportunity to switch up your spells if you're playing a class that uses prepared spells. Most of us already figured that this is what will happen during your long rest, but it has now been confirmed. Also, if you level up, all of the decisions that come with that, such as gaining new features, new spells, or maybe choosing a subclass for the classes that get their subclasses after level 1, this will all happen when you're at your camp and taking a long rest. The camp seems like it's going to be an awesome place. I can't wait to chill by that fire and maybe seduce Shadowheart. What's that, babe? No, I didn't say that. Now, short rests will be like you and your party taking a breather between battles. It will restore some of your HP using the hit dice rules that D&D uses, and for some classes it will restore tactical resources that they have as well. Originally, Larian Studios wanted short rests to be automatically applied after every combat encounter, but they decided that it would work better and mean more with short rests also acting as a limited resource in a way. So currently there is a cap on how many short rests you can do in between long rests. Right now they are experimenting with a 2 cap. Having short rests automatically happen after every combat encounter also would make some classes a little bit unbalanced and maybe too powerful, for some classes like the Warlock can regain spell slots upon short rests. So resting decisions will have more weight now and require a little more thinking. You will not be able to spam short rests nor conduct long rests whenever you want to, for in dangerous territory the game won't let you just teleport out to your camp, take a long rest, and come back healthy and replenished. In some situations you'll have to weigh your options on whether it's worth maybe taking one of your limited short rests. How about some new information on reactions? If you don't understand what reactions are, I'll give you a quick explanation right now, but in the future I'll likely do an entire video dedicated to reactions alone. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the term, reactions in D&D are instant responses to a trigger of some kind which can occur on your turn or someone else's. A common type of reaction is an attack of opportunity, which is when an enemy attempts to move out of your threatened area without using the disengage action, allowing you to use a reaction to make one melee attack against the creature moving away. This punishes the enemy for trying to run by you or for turning their back to you. There's certain special abilities, spells, and other situations that may allow you or an enemy to use a reaction. Bringing reactions into a video game like Baldur's Gate 3 is not as easy as just translating the tabletop game's rules over. Nick stated that they don't want a reaction in Baldur's Gate 3 to pause the situation and ask you what you want your reaction to be. They want a reaction to feel like a reaction. They want it to be quick and not have a menu screen pop up with text asking you what you would like to do. So to keep the action going and make reactions feel like real reactions, Nick said that currently in Baldur's Gate 3 they want to let the player on their turn decide what reactions they would want to trigger and which ones they don't. For example, a wizard may want to disable attack of opportunity, for wizards don't get much benefit out of melee combat, and instead they might want to enable a magic-based reaction that will more benefit them for the specific situation that they're in. It's important to keep in mind what resources some of these reactions might require, and that when you enable these you are prepared to spend those resources. Nick said that they are still looking into ways on how they can give players more control over when your reaction choices happen, but this is still in development. And the last thing we're going to talk about is inspiration. I did talk about inspiration recently on the channel, but we got a little update on it. In D&D, the Dungeon Master can reward players with inspiration, and they do this when they feel like a player is doing exceptionally well at role-playing their character. Inspiration gives a player an opportunity to gain advantage on an attack roll, saving throw, or ability check, which is basically giving you an extra d20 to roll so you have a better chance of succeeding at something that you really want to succeed at. Inspiration will be in Baldur's Gate 3 in the form of the game acting like the Dungeon Master and rewarding inspiration. When you gain inspiration in Baldur's Gate 3, it's sometimes presented as a roll again option. Nick stated that there is not going to be a lot of inspiration giving out to players, but that you can receive more than one at a time. Inspiration will be precious and rewarded in cases such as when players are brave enough to choose certain dialogue options that lead to dark or maybe hilarious results, usually the risky dialogue options. This sounds like a lot of fun, although I feel like many of us are going to get screwed from attempting to get inspiration, but instead putting ourselves in a horrible situation. And that'll be it for today's news video. I have a class guide coming out this weekend as well as a lore video early into next week. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's a huge help to my videos. I do all sorts of content on this channel, ranging from comedy videos to live streams to game reviews to game tutorials. I would love to see some of you guys in a future video. Much more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way. Until next time.